everybody, I'm Tom Vassell, and welcome to Weekend Review. This is a series that we do here in the Dice Tower where we review a bunch of games, obviously every week. And here in this video, we're going to give you short snippets of them, giving our thoughts on them. And then if you want to see the whole thing, we have links in the description of this video. So let's get going.
Hey everybody, I'm Garcia. Here's what I reviewed last week. So I did Storm Raiders, which I gave a 7 out of 10 to. This is a pick up and deliver game with a post-apocalyptic theme that is very cool, has a great look. The whole thing is really neat. But the game board is a little cramped and I wish was a little bit more spacious. And there's a few things that feel a little timey-wimey. It's a little bit hard to do everything you want to do in the game. I thought the scoring at the end was a little bit flat. And while I enjoy the process of moving around in these awesome vehicles you have, picking up things, avoiding this incredible storm that is chasing the characters around the board, I guess I was hoping for more. And so I still like it at a 7. It's a game I enjoy. It's a game I'm happy to play. But it's one that disappointed me a little bit because I think everything in it looked so amazing. And I didn't quite get what I was hoping for. Now, one I did get what I was hoping for is the other game I reviewed this week. This is Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. I gave a 10 out of 10 to. This is a new core box for Cthulhu Death May Die. And you can treat it as such. It's a great jumping on point, in fact. But you can also treat it as extra content if you already happen to be into Cthulhu Death May Die. This is going to give you all the things you expect. Big, bad, tension, awesome characters, a great ramping up effect of you rolling handfuls of dice, trying to avoid going insane. But it also introduces a couple of new things that I thought were great and gave the players more agency and gave you the ability to tweak the difficulty, make the game easier for yourself, throw more monsters in there, and make it a little bit harder for yourself. So a fantastic step up from the original core box, treating this like a new core box, or just more stuff. Love it, love it, love it. That's Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown, and that's it for me, folks. I'll see you on the next one.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have so many looks. Hey there everybody, I'm Chris, this is Grizz, and this week I took a look at 4 games. The first of which was Strawberry Shortcake Berry Bestie Bake Off, I think. Gave this one a 6 from designer Shem Phillips, who I adore. However, this one is a neat little puzzling type of a card game, but it's too lucky for me to really recommend it. Good for kids, and it fits the right weight for that theme, obviously, so very approachable, good for families, but not good enough. So next up, Adventure Party. I gave a 7.5. This is one of those games where you roll a die behind a screen, a d20, and then you role play and you say what happens based on your roll. And it sets up some little scenarios and some little things for you. It does enough for me that I have fun with it, and usually the groups I've played this with have gotten it, had a good time. Next up, Rebel Princess, an 8.5. This is a fantastic trick-taking game. It's hearts, but with twists to it. I like the princess powers, but more importantly, I like the round after round twists, little changes. Do you pass cards? Do you not pass cards? Is the second highest card going to win the trick? Is there going to be some nice little twist on it? I think it's extremely well done. And lastly, Nexus Ops. I gave a 9 this is the 3rd edition from Renegade Games. And I think that this is the best of the 3 editions. I really like the big plastic monolith there in the middle of the board. Dimitro's artwork is great. And they've done things that they've included all the variants from the Fantasy Flight version, but they have the sculpts from the original. So I think this is kind of the best of both worlds type of game reprint. So I think Renegade did a great job with this one. And that, folks, has been me and Grizz's week.
All right, guys, this week I took a look at 2 different games. First up was Storm Raiders. This one fell pretty flat for me, unfortunately. I came in at a 6 on it. I had such high hope for this game. I love the theme. I think the art in it is gorgeous. I think the components are very well done. For the most part, the board is really overly, I guess, just too small. It doesn't fit all the components. Graphically, the graphic design makes sense, but you cover it with components as you go, so you're constantly having to move things around, which just really increased the fiddliness. I also think one thing I was excited about was the pick up and deliver. That's probably the weakest part of the game. It's really hard to get those resources. The timing doesn't always work out, and it's just too punishing if you get caught in the storm, which I understand is the point of the game, but it just feels really punishing. What really shined in the game for me is actually the end game scoring as you are multiplying the mods on your ship and your crew, so you do feel like you kind of build your own crew and little gang here, but ultimately just didn't come together in a package that I was having fun playing. So some cool stuff going on, didn't really enjoy it, came in at a 6. On the other side, Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. This is the new standalone Cthulhu Death May Die. It came in at a 9. I really enjoy this, both from a standalone perspective and as an expansion if you already have Cthulhu Death May Die. I think it's great for both of those parties, or whichever camp you are in. So if you're new to Cthulhu Death May Die, this is a great jumping on point. You're not too far behind. You haven't missed something or haven't missed the boat on this game, and you don't need to be overwhelmed or intimidated by how much content there already is. This is a fantastic jumping on point that they made some graphic design changes to, which is really going to kind of ease the upkeep of the game. That being said, if you are into it as well, I think it does some really neat new things, bringing the artifacts. My biggest, I guess, hang up, if you will, in the game was that those artifacts can kind of increase that swinginess, or the swinginess feel. It's not necessarily the swinginess of the gameplay, but sometimes they just don't come into play at all. And that's pretty disappointing because they're really fun. But man, when they hit, it is just so much fun. It's something that, even knowing that, I'm always still putting it in because when they hit, and they're just so much fun to play with. And the Wandering Monsters, I keep calling them Wandering Monsters. I did it in the review again. Can't remember what they're called still. I'm going to call them Wandering Monsters. Unknown Monsters, maybe? I don't know. What's a name? They're great. I always play with them as well. Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown was a 9.
Hi, I'm Wendy Yee, and I reviewed one game this week, and that is Strawberry Shortcake, the Berry Besties Bake Off. And in this game, you're trying to build an amazing strawberry shortcake, and you're doing it out of cards, which is basically you're building a 4x4 grid. And in that grid, you're trying to line up characters in rows and certain items in columns. And the more you get of those sets, the more points you get. In this game, so I gave it a 7 because I think that it's got some good stuff going on. I enjoy the IP, I think, will be interesting for kids, and it'll pull in, especially those little girls in the world that like the TV show, even though they picked an older artwork. But other than that, I think that it is the hand management that is really interesting in this game, because as you are playing out cards to bid to see who goes first to pick cards from the lineup, those cards then become the lineup, and then also the very last card that's left in your hand every round is going to end up in your grid. So I think the actual grid making and the grid placing is very simple, and it's very approachable for children, but then at the same time that hand management makes it more interesting so that I feel like I'm willing to play it, and it's still approachable for children and they can still figure that out. So there you go. That's a 7. Strawberry Shortcake, the Berry Besties Bake Off.
Hey there, everybody. It's Mike DeLisio back down in the Dice Tower studios for this week, and I was in a bunch of reviews. So first off, let's talk about Zero to Hero. This is a Martin Wallace trick-taking game that I rated an 8 out of 10. It has some chunky wooden pieces. It's kind of like an heirloom quality type of a card game, a trick-taking game. Some neat kind of twist to the traditional trick-taking formula. I really wanted to see what Martin Wallace would do with a trick-taking game, and I wasn't disappointed. Up next is Storm Raiders, coming from designer Shem Phillips, probably most known for his Garfield games collection of North Sea and South Tigris and West Kingdom. This is a kind of a post-apocalyptic themed game of pick up and deliver, and I gave this an 8 out of 10. It's a game that I like quite a bit. There are a couple of production kind of concerns that get in the way a little bit, but overall a really solid game. I like quite a bit. Next up is Rebel Princess. This is an 8.5 for me, a seal of excellence. This is a kind of an updated and more powerful version of Hearts, a traditional card game where you are playing as princesses at a party, and you've got these annoying princes that keep trying to come in and give you marriage proposals, and you don't really want to get married. So cute edition of Hearts, really cool, where basically everyone's going to have their own player power, and then each round you're going to have a little power that changes up the formula quite a bit. Up next was a bit of a dual review. For me, it was a revisiting of a review for Ostia, which one of my favorite games of all time. I'm giving it a 9.5. It actually went up half a point from when I reviewed it before. If you ask me to review it again in a few months, maybe it's a 10. It's very close. Love Ostia to death. Then we talked about the Pirates expansion, which was the first expansion to it. And unfortunately, this one I'm rating a 6, mostly because it changes the core experience of the game so much. And it's to an experience that I don't like as much as just the base game. So there will be some people that will prefer Ostia with the Pirates expansion. I'm sure of it. It adds a bit more interactivity. It adds a bit of restriction to the game and some kind of a corruption type mechanic. And so some people love that stuff. For me, if I'm playing Ostia, I want the original version. So 9.5 and 6. And then finally, I reviewed Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. This is the new core box for Cthulhu Death May Die, my number 2 game of all time. So this is getting a 10. If Death May Die is a 10, which it is, this new core box is a 10. It actually makes some improvements to the base game. Really just a solid product all around. You've got now a new entry point to Cthulhu Death May Die. You've got a couple of new mechanisms in there with some unknown monsters and some relics you can play with that kind of are difficulty modifiers. You can make it more difficult, more easy. You can add both in and just kind of have new stuff. But you've got all the kinds of, you've got, if you're new to the game, you've got great investigators, great enemies to play with, really cool episodes. But if you also have the other core box, this just gives you more stuff. So stellar product all around. That is a 10 for Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. That's going to do it for me this week. I'll see you on the next one.
Okay, so for me, several games this week that didn't really... I did a fast 5 reviews, and not all of them were very positive. I also reviewed Cryptic Nature, a game I really wanted to love because I love the theme of it, but just had too many issues and problems and was kind of slow and plodding. A 5 out of 10. Adventure Party. This is a kind of role-playing in a box. It's okay for me. It's an interesting, amusing thing, and part of it is because I can play RPG, so this feels like a pale shadow. I get what it's doing. It's fine. It's a 6 out of 10. Then we took a look at Rebel Princess. Rebel Princess is a fantastic trick-taking game. It's like Hearts, but with some special rules changes, which I thought it might be too chaotic for me. It was not. Very enjoyable game, 9 out of 10. And we also took a look at Ostia. Ostia is a game Mike has reviewed before, but I want to take a look at this game again. And we took a look at its expansion. So the expansion itself, the Pirates of Ostia, I found to be fine. It fundamentally changes the game a lot, adds almost too much. It's almost there for me, a 6.5. It's just shy of what I want it to be, but I would still play with it occasionally. Ostia itself, though, 10 out of 10. It's one of the best games I've ever played. Just a fantastic rondel movement game. I'm always wanting to play this one again. I also I did the best-selling games of January 2025, and we did our top 10 games everybody should play at least once. So lots of different videos up this week. I hope that you enjoyed them. We'll see you again soon. I'm Tom Vassell, and you're watching Week in Review on the Dice Tower. Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Vassell.
Strawberry Shortcake, the Besties British Bake Off. No, why am I saying British Bake Off? Berry Besties Break Off, third time's the charm. The game today, Berry Besties Bake Off. Betty had a strawberry shortcake, the shortcake that Betty bought Berry Besties to bake off the shortcake.